The story is set in southern China during the 1990s. The Eagle Gang, a group of highly skilled and ruthless robbers led by a man called Falcon, are causing havoc in the area. Detective Zhong Cheng, a police officer, is taken captive by the gang in their car. Falcon asks Zhong to tell him a joke, promising to spare his life if it's funny enough. However, instead of complying, Zhong laughs at him, infuriating Falcon. The gang leader blindfolds Zhong and prepares to throw him out of the car, but not before the detective bites off a piece of Falcon's ear. This event follows a jewelry store robbery, during which the gang murder the bank manager who attempts to contact the police. Zhong Qing witnesses the crime and manages to apprehend one of the robbers. However, while attempting to call his team using a payphone, the gang beats him and takes him along as they make their escape. Zhong's act of biting off Falcon's ear enables him to identify the gang leader later. When the police stop the robber's car, they mistake Zhong Qing for one of the robbers and arrest him. However, he reveals his true identity while in the lockup, explaining that he was sent to capture the gang. According to his story, Zhong arrived at the jewelry store in time but was taken hostage by the gang. His subordinate, Guang Hua, learns of the arrest and comes to the jail to clear up the misunderstanding and get him released. Zhong Qing gets to work as soon as he is free and informs his subordinates that he has been waiting for the Eagle Gang's move for the past 7 days. He promises them he won't let the gang get away after what they did. The Eagle Gang seem to often carry out robberies and have murdered hundreds of people. But the police never manage to catch them, as they are always masked. The police only know that the Eagles are a group of 6 members. According to Zhong Cheng, the members of the Eagle Gang are really good at outwitting the police. They deliberately use imported weapons from France and Belgium every time they act, making it difficult for the police to identify them. This will not be a problem anymore, though, as Zhong bit off the part of Falcon's ear, which will make it easier to identify him. It is true what Zhong Cheng says. We see a flashback of the history of the gang's modus operandi, and the history of their robberies up until the latest heist. Falcon always bought imported weapons from a particular shop owner, using a secret code to communicate with him, and in that shop, he often watches crime movies, which allow him to learn about the mistakes made by the police and leverage those mistakes to escape them. It's a week before committing the robbery. Falcon and his gang members prepare all their plans carefully. Falcon is standing on a really high tower to survey the location for their robbery and find a safe escape route. Then they call the police, to note down the time that the police take to arrive. The police car took 7 minutes, so they must complete their bank theft in 5 minutes, leaving 2 minutes to escape. However, when they discuss breaking the bank safe, their safe-breaking expert says that it will take 12 minutes to decode the safe and open it. Falcon knows this is not possible, as the police will arrive by that time, so as he is intelligent, he asks only for a rope, and says that it will be enough for breaking the safe. The Eagle Gang is getting ready for the robbery, and the police team led by Zheng as well. They are shooting their targets and practicing for the battle. Zhong Cheng and Falcon look like equal opponents, as their shooting skills are professional. Zhong Cheng has decoded the gang's next move, and they are aware of where they will hit next, as Zhong has figured it out through the actions of their last heist. The detail of Falcon's plan is that they divide themselves into 3 teams, which they usually place at 3 different points. The first team is in charge of keeping watch from high ground, the second team is getting ready in the car, and the rest are carrying out the robbery. In November 1990, the Eagle Gang arrives at the bank to carry out the robbery, but before executing their plan, they stop at a nearby restaurant and spend about 10 minutes eating while watching the bank. Falcon orders the food and tells the waitress that they need to deposit some money in the bank, and will eat after getting back. Then the team makes its move into the bank and begins to act. They get in like it is a piece of cake for them, then suddenly take out their weapons. They immediately, without any hesitation, shoot down all the people in the front office of the bank, reaching directly toward the bank's safe. The gang manages to steal the money in the bank within the estimated duration, allowing them to escape easily, long before the police arrive at the scene. When the police finally arrive, they find only 4 safe doors that have been pulled apart. The police are confused about how the Eagle Gang pulled the safe doors off with just a rope. Here, only Zhong Cheng can understand the trick the gang used. He then demonstrates their method, by tying shoelaces using a special knot on 2 pencils, before pulling the shoelaces with little effort and breaking the pencil. He explains that this principle is called amplified gain, and the same principle applies to the doors of the safe. After finding nothing else at the crime scene, Zhong sets his eyes on the same restaurant the gang visited. But apparently, Falcon had guessed the police would definitely try to investigate the restaurant. So before going to the bank, he gave some money to the restaurant's cashier and told her that some cops would be coming soon. If the cops do come, she should give them the money and tell them that Falcon wants to treat them. They are free to order whatever food they want with that money. The cops are offended that a robber like Falcon wants to treat them. But Zhong Cheng takes the money and uses it to order food. At least, this act of robbery allows him to understand a little more the mode of operation used by the Eagle Gang, that they have a habit of robbing a place where there are tall buildings nearby. He notices this by looking through the same window which shows the bank, and beside it, the same tall tower. Zhong knows that if they try to make another robbery, they will surely need to buy ammunition first. Zhong Cheng visits a calendar shop, a place where Falcon often buys illegal weapons. There, he threatens Chen, the calendar seller, who also sells guns, to cooperate with the police in arresting the Eagle Gang, promising to look away from his illegal activities if he does. Zhong Cheng spends time in the shop watching crime movies, to better understand the gang's tactics. Despite their efforts, a year passes without any progress in catching the gang. Zhong Cheng and other officers remain vigilant and keep an eye on vulnerable points for armed robbery. Zhong Cheng has identified some of the points and asks his colleague to solve them. She tells him that it looks like a 5th grade math problem, so Zhong calls her daughter instead, and asks his colleague to solve that problem with her. The Eagle Gang is planning for their next robbery, and they make their move in September 1991. The police are also preparing to catch them in time. After robbing a building, the gang throw a grenade at the main entrance and run off in the car, but this time, their plan doesn't go as smoothly. As one of their members above spots the approaching police, the cars surround them, clearing the area, prepared for the Eagle Gang to arrive. Zhong Cheng secretly goes up a building and shoots down an Eagles team member who was standing on the tall billboard. He studied their tactics and knew they'd have a guide stationed there. The thug falls to the ground, and the Eagle Gang notice him falling from afar. Zhong tells his member that he needs that thug alive. The gang always manage to escape after robbing, but Zhong Cheng doesn't think they will let their members be caught by the police. They would prefer to take out potential informants before the police can question them. Zhong is right, as Falcon decides to return to the scene to murder any captured living witnesses. Zhong notices that the gang is traveling in a white van. The gang pull back and start firing on civilians and police in the process. The police start firing as well, and Officer Qian sees that a child is in the car in the middle of the fight, so she saves her, dodging many bullets from the thugs. Meanwhile, the gang continues firing, and Falcon throws a bomb towards the thug that was taken down by the police, so that the police cannot investigate him. After that, the gang again gets in the van to flee, but Zhong shoots a large store sign on the building nearby, and it falls on the van, destroying it completely. But unfortunately, the gang still managed to escape by hijacking a taxi. The police at the crime scene are pissed off about the escape of the Eagle Gang, while the small girl thanks the officer for saving her life. Back at the police station, Zhong asks Qian whether she has educated the mother of that child. She says yes, she has told the mother to never leave a child alone in the car, but then Zhong educates Qian that self-safety is much more important. For example, being armed with a bulletproof vest. It's important to stay alive to keep saving people. Meanwhile, the thugs return to their base. The members of the Eagle Gang are eager to avenge the loss of their comrade. Falcon agrees with them, but doesn't want them to take revenge directly. His best revenge is to ensure the police can never catch them. So for that, Falcon decides that they should carry out their next robbery in another city. Apart from that, they also have to change their strategy. Before leaving for the next town, the Eagles Gang hijack a police car and tie 4 policemen, carrying their paychecks inside. Surprisingly, they don't take any of the money. They just slip a message into the envelope containing the money, telling the police that the Eagle Gang is responsible for this. Over the years that follow, from 1991 to 1993, the Eagle Gang really goes crazy. They manage to rob many jewelry shops and banks in various cities in southern China. Then, in February 1994, Zhong Cheng and his men arrive in Qingzhou to investigate a robbery whose mode of operation is identical to that of the Eagle Gang. Only this time, the target of the robbery is a truck carrying the miners' paychecks. There is a riot when Zhongqing arrives, where the miners whose money was robbed want to take the money of their more fortunate colleagues. But finally, the riot ends after Zhongqing gives a speech, promising the miners that the police will take back their hard-earned money from the robbers. Meanwhile, Falcon is walking around town when a girl bumps into him. She is running, because a fortune teller told her that every man she gets in a relationship with will have a bad fortune. Sensing she is in trouble, he follows her to the roof of a building, where he sees her about to jump. But the girl, Wan, gives up her intention, because she lacks the guts to do so. As Falcon approaches, she says that from this high up, the city looks so beautiful that it rejects her idea to take her own life. Falcon comforts her, and she gets acquainted with him, after having a long chat while gazing at the cityscape. Some time has passed since that day, when Zhongqing asks the city council to install CCTV near shops and banks, resulting in severely restricting the Eagle Gang's movement. Now that they have a hard time robbing with increasingly tight security, some gang members are getting so frustrated that they think they should just keep robbing. After all, they need money, and their only skill is robbing. However, Falcon forbids them to do that. He doesn't want them to be caught just because they are being rash and impatient. Zhongqing and his team stay behind in Qingzhou, waiting for the moment the Eagle Gang continue their action. Zhongqing even seems obsessed with capturing the Eagle Gang. He is willing to stay up all night, watching every CCTV feed in the city. But after days of sleep deprivation, Zhongqing has finally reached his limit. He hallucinates and sees everyone around him wearing the same masks as the Eagle Gang, and goes running after them. A few days later, Zhongqing can no longer continue to work. He collapses and has to be hospitalized, but still at that point he gets up and struggles to track down the Eagle Gang. Meanwhile, the gang leader Falcon marries Wan. And it doesn't take long for her to become pregnant with their first child. Then, Wan gives a gift to Falcon, a hearing aid for his mother. Wan knows that Falcon is a robber, but she doesn't mind, because she's in love with him. Falcon sends a code to his gang members to meet at a badminton court, but one member, Dog Pao, doesn't show up, making Falcon angry. The members decide to leave the gang and become smugglers just like Dog Pao. Many other members are interested in following the traitor, because they need money, and say that smuggling does not involve murdering anyone. Falcon promises to devise a new robbery plan for them. The police are waiting for Falcon's next move, as now the banks are not carrying much cash, so the van goes delivering cash at each stop and stopping at least 8 branches to keep the money safe. This event will take place in Wujiang's old city, according to Zhongqing. Zhongqing predicts a firefight against the gang and asks his team to prepare before going there. Falcon hands a grenade to a boy, planning for the boy to detonate it at the right time to distract people. While 2 officers are collecting money from the last bank, and it seems that one officer is engaged to the lady bank teller, the other older officer buys gifts for the young officer to give to his fiancée. The gang waits for the officers to collect all the money from the branch, then attack them, shooting down both of them in front of the officer's fiancée, who goes into shock. The gang move all the cash suitcases from the officers' cars to theirs, but their escape route is surrounded by the police. They see a police car approaching and slam into it. Falcon gets out and starts to shoot at the police. Zhongqing and Qian get out of the car, take their positions, and start to fire at the gang. The gang who hit their van from the front try to drive backwards, but hit another police car, and the police fire at them, shooting down the thugs sitting in the front. The shootout between the thugs and police continues, but Falcon, after throwing a grenade at Zhongqing, tries to make his escape. The officer who was shot in the car, though, pulls the bar of the van's trunk, opening its door loose, so when Falcon drives the van to make his escape, all the cash suitcases fall onto the road as the car speeds away. The boy never detonates the grenade, which is eventually secured by Zhongqing. The police receive information that the Eagle Gang is staying at a hotel, and rush to arrest them. As soon as Zhongqing reaches the hotel, he sees a police officer falling from the building onto a car. Seeing this, he rushes off to the building, trying to arrest the culprits, but they make a run for it. One bald member of the Eagle Gang jumps off the balcony, landing on a car, but Qian jumps after him on time, taking her gun out and shooting down the thug, while the other thug holds 2 grenades in his hand. He threatens that if any police officer comes near then he will detonate them. However, Guang snatches them out of his hands. Unfortunately, not having time to throw them away, it explodes in his grip, leaving his right hand torn apart. Falcon and a colleague are also in the same area, but they manage to escape, disguised in police uniforms and driving a police car. After the incident, the police manage to tap Falcon's pager, finding about the pregnancy of his wife. By checking out the gynecologist, they are able to locate the address of Wenwan's apartment in Qingzhou, prompting Zhong Cheng and his team to return to Qingzhou to keep an eye on the apartment, hoping that Falcon will return to check on his pregnant wife. A few days later, Falcon does go there, but instead of going straight to Wenwan, he forcibly seizes the apartment right across from the police's apartment. He is sure the police are watching him, not aware that they are in the apartment next to him, but because of the high surveillance on his back, Falcon chooses to suppress his longing for his wife. For now, he has to be satisfied looking at her from a distance. After thinking for a moment, Falcon sends a secret message through a pager to Wenwan, before calling her on the phone, asking her to pretend she doesn't know him, so she won't go to jail in case he is caught. He asks her to forget him. He says it would be much better for her to pack her things and go find another man. Wenwan immediately obeys Falcon's orders. She burns all of her photos with him before changing her appearance. The police, who have tapped the phone in the apartment, quickly intercept Wenwan before she can leave the apartment. Even so, she chooses to remain silent when the police interrogate her about the meaning of the secret message Falcon sent her through the pager a few hours earlier. Likewise, when the police find her marriage certificate with Falcon, because Wenwan keeps declining to talk, the police are forced to discover the meaning of the secret message by themselves. They finally find out that it is a code from a book that contains the location where Falcon and Wenwan will meet, which is a movie theater. The police move on to the movie theater in question through the information obtained, where they later find a man with a torn ear, just like Falcon. They then catch him just as he is about to shoot himself. But it turns out that the man is not the person they are looking for. He is Falcon's comrade, his loyal follower, willing to slice his ear off to outwit the police. The police, however, have no idea that this man is not Falcon. Zhong Cheng isn't sure that the man they caught is the real Falcon, but he can't prove his doubts. As a result, they continue to believe all the statements of the fake Falcon, and even announce to the public their success in catching the criminal who has been terrorizing them all this time. Meanwhile, the real Falcon is now in his hometown. At his mother's house, he watches television about his comrade's arrest, and how the police have closed the case. It is revealed that Falcon planned everything a long time ago. From the pager code, to the plan to pretend to meet at the movie theater, he had it all planned to trick the police. He even prepared a fake photo on his marriage certificate with Wenwan, so that the police could never recognize who the real Falcon is. Even so, Zhong Cheng still doubts whether he has really caught Falcon. So he goes to Wenwan's apartment again, where he finds the hearing aid that Falcon intended to give his mother. In September 1994, Guang reports to Zhong Cheng about the loss of Chen, the illegal arms dealer, who ended his own life. He felt guilty that his family were victims of a robbery by the Eagle Gang, with whom he supplies their weapons. But before his demise, he sent the police a pager, the one Falcon uses to call him whenever he needs a gun. It is from this pager that Zhong Cheng finally discovers that Falcon is now in his hometown. Zhong Cheng receives a message on the pager from Falcon, and with the help of his subordinate Qian, they track him down to a public bathhouse. Zhong Cheng puts the hearing aid on the counter of the bathhouse, which is run by Falcon's mother. Zhong questions Falcon's mother, who unwittingly reveals Falcon's presence there. Zhong Cheng now knows that he is at the right place. He further adds that he has been looking for him for 7 years. Falcon's mom understands that something is wrong, but she still gives the ticket to Zhong Cheng for the bath. He calls Qian and tells her that he has found him, asking her to come with backup. Zhong heads inside and confronts Falcon, who is sitting in the middle of the bathhouse with a gun and handcuffs, but decides to delay his arrest until the local police arrive. Falcon then tells Zhong that he has been waiting for him, and he owes him a joke. Zhong laughs slightly, and asks him about the story of how the eagle fell from the sky. Falcon says that every time, they were able to fly away from him. Then Zhong reminds him that the last 2 times they flew, it was without taking away a single penny. This ignites Falcon, and he attacks Zhong with a hand knife. Zhong dodges it and smashes Falcon's head into the mirror. Then Falcon smashes Zhong into the bathroom and they both throw punches at each other. Falcon then takes out the steel sink tray, while Zhong adjusts the handcuffs on his fist. They both start to fight again, and Zhong manages to handcuff Falcon and throw him in the pool. He gets up once again to attack Zhong, trying to bite him, but he hits him with his pistol several times, finally subduing him. Falcon then asks Zhong to shoot him instead, but Zhong hits him so hard that he falls in the pool. Finally, Zhong has closed the case. Eventually, after 224 days of being in prison, the police take Falcon to his final destination. He is tied up in ropes, scared, when the officers force him to kneel and shoot him, ending the nuisance of the Eagle Gang forever.